Nice. Nice.
Sometimes you hold on.
Nice. You like an iPhone 4?
I finally just.
Good morning. I'm calling to order the Community and Emergency Services Committee for August 27th, 2024. If you would, please bow your heads with me and we'll say the prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for all the many blessings that you bestow upon Columbia County. Dear Lord, today I ask that you touch the minds and hearts of leaders not only locally but across our nation. Help guide us to always do the right thing. Lord, please continue to protect those who protect us and help us to do all things in your will. In your most holy and precious name I pray. Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible. We have a full quorum this morning with 3 members present. Gentlemen, have you had the opportunity to review the minutes from the July 23rd meeting?
Move to accept.
So moved. Thank you. Do you have any changes to today's agenda?
It's ready for your approval, Madam Chair.
We'll move forward with that as is. We have some members from Columbia County leadership here with us today. I would ask that you please stand up and give us your name and where you work. Thank you and welcome to you all. We're glad you're here with us this morning. Seeing that we have no consent agenda items, we will move directly into the debate agenda, and it looks like we will be starting with Mr.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Blanchard will brief that.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you for hearing me before this committee.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you. Typically present to Commissioner Merlier, but this is a treat.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't.
Is it? I'm not spending any money today.
Oh, save that for her.
I'm saving that for the next MIS. I have one item for your consideration today. That's to award a bid and service agreement with DISYS Solutions for Cisco equipment and services. The county uses an extensive amount of Cisco equipment. That's the equipment we use for networking, security, for our phones. We have licensing involved for security with that. So it's but with Cisco is a little bit like Ford and GM. You don't buy equipment from Cisco, you buy from a dealer. So in essence, what we're doing today is choosing a new dealer from whom we're going to purchase all the Cisco equipment. IT, representatives from IT, myself and Broadband, I worked with procurement in order to choose DISYS Solutions. So we're going to move forward with them with a 5-year agreement. Staff recommends approval.
5-year agreement, how does the pricing work?
Pricing, as part of their proposal, they had to offer pricing. They've got a rate in there for about $250 per hour, which is commensurate with what we've seen from other vendors. That's for all of their technical services for network engineers and whatnot. And then we've got I believe, 42% discount in all Cisco equipment purchased from them. But that would be consistent throughout the 5-year agreement.
Right, did we bid that out in terms of just the 42% discount? What did you find with other vendors?
It's commensurate with the others. There were some that were more, there were some that were less. Some are also already on state contracts, so what they offered was contract pricing. We did have one that was in a little bit lower, but they didn't score as high on the other side of the what our requirements were.
Total value of this annualized is?
It's going to vary based on what our equipment life cycle is and what projects we have in the pipeline. But with our current vendor, within the last, I'd say, couple of years, we've spent about million plus annually in operating costs, because this company, DISIS, will become the vendor that will pay for our enterprise agreement, which will be at the next MIS pending this approval, and then something that's called SmartNet, which is licensing for equipment. Those come out to be about a little over $400,000 a year.
Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. For Mr. Luton next, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. We're going to start off for your consideration a series of animal services donations. Joseph Corwin for $100, David Harity $120, William Bird $200, Rita Sperry $100, Jason Lucas $100, and David Harity $165. Staff recommends approval.
I have a quick question on this. Just something was brought to my attention this month. So the donations here are for spay and neutering. Are they all the donations used for spay and neutering, or have these people designated that money to be spent?
Primarily spay and neutering. Sometimes they request certain things, but most of the time, the overwhelming majority is spay and neuter costs.
Okay, thank you. So moved, and thank you.
Next, we have a renewal agreement for Civic Rec management software. This is the software we use for pretty much everything in the division, and particularly parks and recreation, sports registration, reservations, campsites, etc. We've been using this for several years now. And this is a renewal that won't take effect till next fiscal year. Staff has recommended approval of this renewal in the amount of $42,172.41.
Why are we renewing it so far in advance?
Short time ago, if you remember, we added a module, a document management module, and that went into effect this year, and they gave us a discount with the understanding that it would go up to this for next fiscal year. So they just want to go ahead and lock this in early, and we didn't see an issue with it.
Increase?
It is an increase. It is an increase based on that additional document management system that we added.
That's more service.
Correct. Correct.
Was that increase budgeted?
It will be next year.
Yeah, right.
So we still have time to put that in next year's budget.
Yeah.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Chief.
Good morning. All right. First item that I have is a memorandum of understanding with Augusta Technical College. We've worked most of this year with the SACS accrediting agency as well to get our facilities and some of our instructors hired on as non-compensated adjunct instructors or professors with Tech. So once we execute this agreement, then most of our basic fire academy and all of our different levels of instruction will actually all become college credit. So they'll be enrolled in Augusta Tech. Our instructors will post grades and do all of that so that it works toward an associate's in fire and EMS, as well as those go on a college transcript. So that means they would really be available in any college program. So there's no cost to either party, as well as we get 2 classrooms to use on the Grovetown campus. It's going to be several years before our training facility, including classrooms, will be available. So we really base, and they're going to provide that cost as well. And it's dedicated to us, so we can that. So staff recommends approval of the agreement with Augusta Tech and authorizing the chairman to sign.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
This item is addition Section 5, it's a hazardous materials response to our fire services standard operating guideline. We've always had the section, but it was not complete. Previous to this set of guidelines, hazardous materials response is just covered by what we do else. But we've advanced so much in our capabilities, levels of training, and more requests outside of Columbia County for our members that we've put this set of specific guidelines into place, which all of our guidelines are approved by this body. So have an annex that's specific day-to-day operations that we need to be able to change at a moment whenever a standard changes a new piece of equipment. So that is an annex that's not here because it has to be changed every day. As far as these guidelines, they'll always come before you. So Stafford.
Determines the guidelines and who works together to.
Well, one of our lieutenants on our hazardous materials team is actually a part of the National Fire Protection Association. That is a part of developing and maintaining national standards for it. So we kind of know what's coming before it's adopted. So our guidelines are going to stay ahead of the times as well as we can be trained on those ever-changing standards. That the core members of the team actually write and maintain.
Consent.
So moved. Next.
For over 2 decades, we've purchased our personal protective equipment. This is the firefighting gear from Bennett Fire Services, which is the sole source dealer for Globe Manufacturing's line of protective clothing. In July, they added a second vendor to the state of Georgia that's authorized to sell that equipment. That company doesn't want to, but the manufacturer makes them. So, because it's no longer sole source, we had procurement conduct the bid process. That new vendor really submit much on it. So we're looking to sign a contract. It's a 4-year contract, renewable each year at MSRP counts, and there's a different one listed out in the documentation for the equipment. It actually got our cost down just a little bit. Force manufacturer to be lenient with it. So our annual budget is $243,845. So we're asking to initiate this contract with Bennett so that we can purchase from them not to exceed our annual budget at the percentage listed. So we recommend awarding the bid to Bennett Fire Services and authorize the chairman to execute the contract.
What's the difference? I mean, 10-8 submitted a $35,000 bid.
So
Doesn't even make any sense.
the top level
Apples
manufacturer,
to apples with all the equipment?
it's literally the same piece of equipment.
Why
but-
wouldn't you take the $35,000 instead of the I'm sorry?
Oh,
They didn't offer everything.
Oh, okay.
right. They only offered like boots and a
Everything.
helmet. Yeah, they didn't submit pricing on the entire package. But the 243,845 is our annual budget. So that's where what they're committing to is the discount off of MSRP. That just allows us to renew this every year. As they have an increase, it might be 2%, 9 or 5%. We still get that base discount off of that. But the budgeted number here is what I'm just asking to contract, but you're limiting me to what I budgeted.
This replace old equipment or rotate out?
Right, you can only use the gear for so many years, but it
Right.
goes out of compliance with all of those alphabet groups. As well as new employees, we have to have that when they finish training, we got to put them in protective equipment that meets the standards. There's a million standards, as much as your vehicle on a jacket
What happens to the old?
is useless, because when it's no longer able to be used in production, then it goes down to training. We may put it on a mannequin or anything like that. When we're done with it, you don't even know what it is. We completely burn through those. They do, right. Or if it gets a hold, you have to have a manufacturer repair it that can certify it still meets.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next item is our master subscription license agreement with EPR Solutions for fireworks software. This is our records management software. We've completed last year our final renewal on that agreement, so we use software to all of our incident reporting on fire and EMS, as well as tracking hydrants and basically everything we do. This is the main database that does. Well as of a few years ago, the fire marshal's office pays $10,000 of this, and they use a couple of modules so that they can see our activities at places they inspect, and likewise results of their inspections when we have places. So we would recommend purchasing on this new agreement from EPR and authorizing the chairman to execute the contract. And that initial cost is $53,600.50 with a maximum 3% escalation.
How many years?
This is a 5-year, but we will come back each year.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
This is a request to purchase 16 self-contained breathing apparatus from Municipal Emergency Services. They're the air packs that we use for during events where you breathe the environment. It's an annual rotation. We do this every year. They have a life cycle. So once they meet a certain number of years, so we replace this number every year, always will. We did get quotes, and the lowest quote from the two manufacturers that can sell them, it went to Municipal Equipment Services, and that's on the Fire Rescue GPO contract. So we recommend purchasing packs for $103,340.90.
Move to consent.
Next.
This is the same two companies. These are the bottles. The air packs that we purchased do come with bottles, but they're good for no more than 45 minutes in use. Last longer than that. So we have to have bottles to swap out. So once again, it's something that I'm going to bring every year to change out these life cycle. These bottles, they have to be destroyed when they go out. You got to drill them open so no one have to be destroyed. And we're using the same NPP Gov GPO contract, Municipal Emergency, again, Municipal Equipment Services approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next one. This is EMT Clinical Instruction Memorandum of Agreement with Thompson-McDuffie County Fire and EMS. It just expands the places that our EMT students can ride their ambulance clinical time. We already do this with Gold Cross and Thompson and vice versa. All of us run our own academies, so benefit is just to get more students out at once. There's only 7 ambulances in Columbia County, and right now I've got 18 students. I just need more places. So we'd recommend authorize the chairman to sign and execute contract for clinical instruction with Thompson-McDuffie County Fire and EMS.
Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. Any legal matters this morning? Back to you, Chief, for staff reports.
Well, I have the incident response summaries as well as our year-to-date budget, and I would be glad to answer any questions. I think 940. I think the 946 month is a record.
Quick update. Where do we stand on the new fire station? You may be the one.
So Station 2 that's under construction right now, it's actually coming along well. Stephen's here. You want to come up, Stephen, and talk about where we are in the process? It's coming out of the ground really well.
Gotten an invite. We're going to be having a topping out ceremony next week, so that'll be wrapping up construction will be wrapping up in March of next year. The other fire stations, I believe, are all included in the bond. They're on our schedule to start probably next year or so in design. They're in the queue.
You own the land?
Yes.
We do.
Have any commissioners or public comment this morning? Being that we have no executive session items, we'll adjourn at 8:50 and pick back up in just a couple of minutes with the next committee.